Today we're going to take a little bit different perspective, and we're going to talk about the universe, its creation, life, and the concept of blind forces. Are we the product strictly of blind forces? This is the universe. I didn't take this picture. This is an artist's conception of the universe. It's vast. This is the Big Bang theory, and it starts here within a matter of just a few seconds. Here within 1 second we start having the fundamental principles of quantum mechanics. And then after 3 minutes we've already started nucleosynthesis, where actual atoms are being created, usually the light ones, which is of course helium and lithium. Now, then after about 11 billion years, we have the stars forming, and we've already have the solar systems and the constellations, and then we start having life on Earth after 11 billion years. Now, this guy is a very, very interesting man. This is Sir Fred Hoyle. He was knighted. He's a bright guy. He's from Oxford. And he's the fellow that really allowed us to understand the formation of heavier elements in the universe. Atoms and all the heavier elements are created by the sun, by the stars. Heavier ones, of course, are created by vast explosions of these stars. And he was obviously a very brilliant man, probably one of the most brilliant men of the 20th century, and perhaps one of the most brilliant men of the 21st century. He never did get the Nobel Prize, although clearly, in many people's opinion, he deserved to get it. But there are many reasons why he didn't. One of them was in discovery of the pulsars. This was discovered by a guy named Anthony Hewish, and he got the Nobel Peace Prize for it. But there was a woman scientist who did all the work, and her name was Jocelyn Bell. And he complained about that. He thought that she should have at least received an honorable mention. You don't do that in science. You don't get any prizes or appointments. But anyways, I digress. He also stated that there are no blind forces in the universe, that science has caused him to go from atheism to agnostic. In other words, he believed in some sort of super intellect that he said monkeyed with physics to create a universe that is allowed to have life. And this is the guy that showed us how elements are made in stars. We used to call it the carbon cycle and how the sun makes carbon. And he told us how carbon became in such abundance because of its inherent nuclear residence, its stability. Carbon happens to be 7.7 MeV, which is very stable. Iron is also a very stable residence, and so that's why we have an abundance of iron in the universe. But anyways, this is one of the reasons why, in a very small aspect, why he started to develop the belief that there is some sort of super intellect behind all this. Let's take, for example, one small part of it. This is the universe, and it's the expansion of the universe. When the universe was first created in the Big Bang, in the first few seconds, okay, the laws were laid down. And two most fundamental laws is the relationship of electromagnetic force to gravity. Now, electromagnetic force, EMS, is kind of like magnets and things like that, radio waves, and it has to be a very precise 1 to 10,040. Okay, you get off by more than that, you've got nothing. For instance, let's say the EMF to gravity is higher than this. Well, all the stars would be 40% brighter, and they would burn off, and there would be no time for evolutionary process, hence no life in the universe. Also, there has to be, also if the EMF to gravity ratio is less than that, all the stars would be about 20% the size of the sun. And we wouldn't have any nuclear synthesis. In other words, we wouldn't have any heavier elements. And you can't have life without the heavier elements, magnesium, phosphorus, and it goes on. Now, also a precise rate of expansion. It's 1 to 1055. If you're off by that, then the universe, say for instance, the universe expands too fast. Well, it expands on infinitum and you never get anything back. You get one roll of the dice, then it's gone. Same thing with if the expansion is too short, then everything collapses, and again, you have no time for any evolutionary development. So, what does that mean? Well, let's say, on this probability alone, it's 1 to 1,000 times 1 to 1,000, which equals 1/1,000,000th. Well, most evolutionary biologists would say, hey, that's okay, I can live with that. That goes along with serendipity and also their anthropic phenomenon, which means everything is probability, and if you have enough time, you get enough probability, and you've got life. But the problem is this, is that with each roll of the dice, with each spin of the roulette wheel, you got a 50-50 chance of total failure, bankruptcy. You're not getting any universe because everything will expand infinitely throughout the universe and you got nothing. So it seems that in this game of chance, the house always wins. And this is one tiny aspect. We're not talking about the myriad of laws of quantum mechanics. We're not talking about the laws of element resonance. I mean, and then the cell. I mean, how did that get started? Well, nobody really knows. This is Richard Dawkins. He's from Oxford. He's a bright guy. He's an evolutionary biologist. He wrote the book, The God Delusion. He's an atheist. He believes that science has taught him to be an atheist. He also said that people like me are real stupid and we're not science and we're actually evil because we don't believe in blind forces as the sole cause for life on the planet. Well, maybe I should just blow my brains out right now. I won't do that. It's messy. Anyways, he is an evolutionary biologist. He says there's no life after death. He says there's no such thing as any other super intellect. And he says he got it through science. Well, he's an evolutionary biologist. I disagree. I think if you want to find the true nature of human consciousness, if you want to find is there some sort of orchestration, you don't go to an evolutionary biologist. It's kind of like going to a tattoo artist and saying, can you please fix the jet engine in my Learjet? I don't think so. I'm staying on the ground. He has no basis in, no education in neuroscience, and he's got no education in philosophy, but a bright guy. And I'm offended because he's a bright guy and I got a high respect for his opinion. So when he calls me a moron, okay, my feelings are hurt. Anyways, he started his books by advertising them on London buses. Here's the golden thread. Now, this is not so much I'm coming after you, Richard Dawkins, but it is sort of like I'll debate anybody, anytime, anywhere on the concept of the soul, on the concept of the origin of human consciousness, and on the concept of a super intellect, because I think there's a lot of evidence for it. John Lennox, who's also from Oxford, put it very, very well when he said, it really starts with your worldview, and everything follows after that. I agree with that concept, and I think that that is the way, the reason why we have one man who says science leads me toward atheism, and we have another man who says science has led me away from atheism. I go with the latter. But anyways, I hope you found this interesting. It's a very short video this time, and I hope it's food for thought. Thank you very much. Bye.